Welcome to Afro Girl Diaries. My name is Belinda. If it's your first time here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, like, share this video. If you're a returning subscriber, hi again. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. I know it's been a little bit of a while. You know, your girl has been working hard. You may have noted some differences. I'm playing around with some backgrounds. So let me know if you like it, if you'd like me to change it up. Sometimes it's just good to switch things up. So don't find it a bit awkward. It's definitely not my house. It's just a virtual background. But yeah, straight into today's video. You may have seen a video I did recently on why I studied CISA and why I think you should study it too. So I talked more about what the certification is about, what you can expect. And today's video is part 2 of that journey. I just wanted to walk you through how I prepared for the certification, resources that you can use, because I self-studied for the certification. I passed it on my first attempt. So just wanted to walk you through resources available, what you can expect as part of like the topics, you know, the domains that are covered and how I prepared for them. So make sure to tune in if you're interested in studying for the CISA. Don't worry. The key thing is just to prepare. It is one of those certifications that, honestly, as long as you take it seriously, you will be okay. So stay tuned in. If you have any questions that I don't manage to cover in this video, make sure to put them in the comment section, and I'll make sure to maybe do a Q&A or just do another part 3 of this video. But yeah, stay engaged. So CISA, the reason why I've actually even used this setup is because I wanted to be able to share my screen. So CISA is made up of 5 domains that basically the certification can be categorized into 5 domains. And basically, I will share my screen to show you what are the percentages. So not each domain is not tested equally, so it doesn't have the same weighting in the exam. And what this weighting means is if a topic is considered more important based on the weighting, it means there will be more questions in that topic. So the reason I'm covering these domains is just to show you, to introduce you to, of course, what you can expect, but also it will really impact how you plan your study, because you might as well focus on the areas that will be tested more if your aim is to pass at your first attempt. But I wanted to emphasize that this is not just a quick pass. The reason you should be doing this certification is because you think it will be useful to your day-to-day work. So I would urge you to still cover each topic. It's just in a case where you're pressed for time, or you just want to prioritize such that if time runs out, you're still okay for the exam, that you'd probably put this prioritization ranking based on weighting. But please, don't do certifications just to have them on your CV. Do them because they will actually impact your life. They will affect, make you work better, maybe increase your job opportunities, etc. You will see that in that video. I should actually link it here or here on why I did my CISA and why I think you should do it too. But please, 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 don't just do it to pass the exam. All right. So I will now share my screen to show you the 5 domains that make up CISA, the weighting, and we can discuss this further. Okay, so you should now be able to see my screen. And basically, I'll actually increase this. Let me make sure that the layout, actually perfect. It's the perfect layout that I wanted to show you. So basically, if you go on the ISACA website, which is, ISACA is the organization that offers the CISA certification. If you literally just type CISA, you'll be able to see a lot more information about the certification, including the job practice areas. So the domains are categorized based on job practice areas, because people who do this certification would probably fall under either of these 5 domains, or rather job practice areas. So information systems auditing process, that's the background I came from, and that makes up around 21% of the exam. So you may be part of, you know, IT management, or you may be part of the team that's leading a project where you're implementing a system. So that would be domain 3 on information systems acquisition, development, and implementation. So you could be part of an project implementation team. You could even just be a project manager, whatever role you play in a project where a system is being implemented or modified. Domain 3 would be your area. And then domain 4 is more about if you're part of an IT support team. And basically, it's more about information systems operations. So things like the key processes that make up IT management. So things like change management, change management, configurations management. So a lot, incident management, resilience, disaster recovery. So all sorts of IT processes that will make up an IT team. So these are the people who are literally fast line. From an audit perspective, we call them fast line, the people who actually carry out the IT processes in an organization. And then the last domain, which actually makes up majority of the percentage of the certification, is protection of information assets. So a lot more information on protecting any data, not just the hardware, software, but also any data processed and managed by an organization. It is a very lengthy, just as it makes up the percentage, it's a very lengthy topic, or rather domain area. So it does require a lot of preparation. So with this view of the 5 domains, how this may impact your study is you might want to prioritize the areas with the highest percentage. So that's domain 1, 4, and 5. Now, this is something I didn't really pay attention to when I was studying. I just studied the book sequentially, literally from page 1 to the last. And this book, I mean the study manual. I'll get into that in a bit. Now, looking back, especially given I was pressed for time, because probably you're in a similar position. If you're doing CISA, you probably have a day job. It's not just limited to working professionals. You might be fresh from uni. So CISA is one of those certifications that doesn't need you to have a degree to do it. So depending on your circumstance, but if you're a working professional, you probably have limited time. So looking back, what I would do differently is prioritize based on the weighting. Another thing also is that each domain area is independent of the other. So you don't honestly need to read domain 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't need to read it sequentially at all. You can literally pick and choose which ones to start with, as long as you cover all in the end. Because as I mentioned earlier, you should do a certification to expose you, validate your competency, and also build your competency. So you probably do want to read all of them anyway before the exam, but probably best to work smart and not work hard. So if you're pressed for time, you probably want to prioritize domain 5, followed by domain 4, domain 1, that way. So basically in reverse order. All right. So I will go back. I will stop sharing my screen now. And basically, hopefully that gave you a bit of a feel on what to expect on the CISA exam. Another thing I wanted to cover is resources. So what resources you can use. So as I mentioned, I did self-study. So this meant I did not attend any tutorials. I did not attend any college, any online tutoring, nothing. I read all by myself. And at this point, I'd like to plug in my ACCA playlist. I'll probably plug it somewhere here. I've also done the same for ACCA qualification, where I studied all by myself. I just purchased the study material, studied, prepared for the exam, enrolled online for the exam, and studied and passed it. So it is very possible. You do not need a tutor to pass CISA, but it will need you to put in the work. Now, CISA is one of those, especially if you're working in any of those domain areas that I showed you earlier. You might think, I know this stuff. I mean, I've been doing it for the last 5 years. You do not know everything. Trust me, you do not know everything. So it's not a hard exam, but it is definitely a deep exam, for lack of a better word. It's one of those, you just need to take it seriously, please. I know you probably know a lot, and you probably might just pass it, but that risk, paying so much, because it is a very expensive certification, paying all that just to might pass it, you might end up on the other end, because around 50% of people pass. That means half of the people fail, half of the people pass. You probably want to be on the side of the people who pass the exam, especially if your employer has paid for the exam. You don't want to risk your contract or anything like that. So simply put, you just need to take it seriously. Now, the resources that I consider the bare minimum is the study manual and the exam question bank. I'm lacking the word right. I will find it just now. But basically, the book that has the study manual recommended by ISACA. So ISACA publishes the manuals themselves. So you don't need to go to any third-party vendor, etc. So you just need that, and you just need the study manual, and you just need the questions. Now, self-study is hard. You do not have to choose that path. It's probably the cheapest, so the most cost-efficient option, but you don't have to. If resources are not an issue for you, then I would also recommend you get the online course where you have online tutoring as well. And again, you don't need a third-party vendor for that. You can find all this on the ISACA website. And I'll just share my screen shortly to show you where you can find these resources if you're looking into, studying for CISA. So I will start off with the books, which are the bare minimum. Whether you have support, tutoring support or not, you should get these books. So I was tempted to say, let me know if you can see my screen, but not on a conference call. So this working during COVID is very interesting. It makes you pick up some habits that are very hard to let go of. All right, so you should be able to see my screen now. So if you go on the ISACA website and you click on this on resources and then store, you will come to the screen that I'm showing you currently. And basically, it's in alphabetical order. So if you get to the CISA section, you'll see there's the review manual, which is a study manual by ISACA themselves. And basically, you can get the ebook or the print version. They're all the same price. Of course, you can see there's a difference in price depending on whether you're an ISACA member or not. Now, you will note, I would definitely recommend, and I probably need to do a separate video on this, on how to enroll for the exam. Basically, I would recommend you get the ISACA membership because you will get that money back through the discounts you get when you're buying resources and also when you're booking the exam. So it's not mandatory for you to be an ISACA member to be able to sit for CISA exam, but it's recommended because of the cost savings you'd get. And also additional, because when you're an ISACA member, you will be invited to maybe local events near you, webinars, things that will help you maintain your industry, increase your commercial awareness on what's going on in the industry. So it's definitely just worth having. So you do need the review manual, and you also need the review questions, answers, and explanations manual. It's basically the question bank. It's a book full of questions. And trust me, please do not walk into that exam room, online version of the exam without at least attempting a mock test. You will be so surprised how much you know theoretically, but when it comes to questions, you're blank. So I would definitely, and this takes me to the next bit where I will walk you through my recommended study approach, what I did, looking back, I would do different to hopefully help you out when you're studying for your exam. So yeah, as you can see, those are the two books you definitely need, whether you have tutoring support or not. Now, a good to have, I will share a different tab. A good to have is the online tutoring support, which is also available on ISACA. Just a moment. Should be able to view my screen now. And again, all this is available on the ISACA website. So basically, this is just the online version where the reason I honestly would go for this now is because a thing I noted with the study manual, when you're just studying it as it is, without any support, it's very small. ISACA haven't invested in making it student friendly. It's literally a manual. It's the way when you are checking your car manual, for example, whatever equipment you have and you're checking the manual, you know how straight to the point and how fine print, it's very small it is. It's the same for this. So it's very hard to study and concentrate. I found it hard to study and concentrate. I had no option. I was going by this book. That was what I was using to prepare for the exam. But looking back, I would have appreciated probably a more summarized version of it. Maybe someone explaining it, just better human language. It was very technical, very, very boring, for lack of a better word. Not even lack of a better, that is what it was. It was very boring to read the study manual. This is necessary when you're checking a specific thing. So probably how I would do it now if resources were not something I was looking at or a limitation by my employer, I would buy the online review course, buy the study manual, and also buy the question bank. Now, when going through the questions, or if I know there's a specific area I have an issue, I need to develop further on, increase my knowledge on that specific area, I would then go to the study manual and check that area only, rather than using the study manual as the main main study book because you will be bored. Bored. It's honestly, I think you can tell it was boring. So this online review course, and this is not sponsored, it's just being brutally honest, would probably be very useful. And again, it will walk you through all the key five domain areas. It also does have practice questions as well, but when you have the practice, the actual question bank, you probably don't need this. These are just other add-ons, but the more the questions, the better. And yeah, it's literally just an alternative to the study manual, but I would um, not buy the study manual, still buy it. It's the proper Bible of CISA. So you do need it, but this will be complimentary and a good to have. All right. So moving on to, because I would not want this to be a very long video, moving on to my recommended approach. So I'd already hinted at this at the beginning. Prioritize the topics based on the weighting. So probably start with domain 5. They are all independent of each other, so you don't need to have done one to understand the other. Another thing is I would do a pretest. So when you buy the question book, please, is not negotiable. You need it. Now, when you have bought that book, you will notice it has a mock exam. Now, that mock exam can be used at the beginning and at the end. So it can be used as a pretest or a post-test. Now, I recommend you use it as a pretest first. You can use it still as post-test because trust me, after some time you forget what questions were on there anyway. Now, once you've purchased your study material, take that question book without having not read anything yet. Take that question book and do that mock exam. What it will do, it will give you a feel of the CISA exam, so what you can expect. It will also give you a feel of what are your weakest domain areas. So you might start with domain 5, yet it's your strongest because maybe you're from that area. That's your day-to-day job. So in that case, don't start with domain 5. Go to the next most important domain, like maybe domain 4. So what you want to do is develop your weak points. Because remember, you will be tested in each area, and each of these contribute to your total score. So I would work smart and not work hard. So do the mock test as a pre-test to see, first of all, would you even pass it without studying? Please don't get cocky if you pass it without even studying anything. It just gives you more confidence, and you know you can probably do the exam sooner than you thought. So if you had planned to do it in 6 months, maybe do it in 2 months because look, you're already passing as it is. Next thing, help you identify your weak points, and then you can start on those topics first. And also, it's just useful. Honestly, I should have done that because I ended up noting. So what I did, as I mentioned earlier, I started from topic page 1 of the study manual to the end. Ended up using a lot of time that, looking back, was not necessary. And also, I then ended up using the mock test as a post test, only to realize that, damn, there's certain topics I do so well, and certain topics I am failing. And those topics are the ones I should have focused on and gone through with a fine tooth comb. All right. And that's it. Just prepare, just be ready. Once you've done those questions and you've gone through the topics, ideally all of them, then you do questions, questions, questions. Just do questions. The moment you've done a couple of questions, you'll know when you're ready. Because I remember I did the mock test. I panicked for a moment because I think I had my exam in a week's time. I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready. Went back to the study manual, went through those specific topic areas. You don't need to go through a whole topic. You could have been understanding certain bits, just a certain subtopic that you're not understanding. So when you focus on those, you will know that you're ready. And one thing anyway, it's not the end of the world. As long as you can amend your test basically within 48 hours. So if you do realize that it's hit the fan, then you can actually move your test. But I wouldn't recommend moving it. I would recommend working backwards unless it is catastrophic and you can tell that you're going to fail the exam. Another last thing, I'd say my last tip on this, because I will go by your cues. I'll check the comments, and if you want me to cover certain things, you have any questions after what I've discussed, I can do this in another video. Another thing is, before you start a topic when you're studying, the study manual does show you what the learning objectives are. So what this means is you can then know what it is you're expected to know by the end. Because one thing I noted, and I think it's because I was doing the study manual, there's a lot of additional information that is not important for the exam. It's important for you as a professional, but it's not. So don't kill yourself if you're not understanding everything. So you can go by the learning objectives, keep referring back to that and see if I'm not understanding a certain concept, is it the end of the world or not? So some of the information is good to have in the study manual because it's the reference manual for everything CISA related. But yeah, you can probably go by the learning objectives to gauge if you're getting what you need. And also you can just do some questions from the question bank after you cover each topic to gauge and see your knowledge, if you've actually understood or you need to revisit some of the topics. Yeah, and that's it for today. I do not want this to become too long. So just let me know if there's certain things you want me to focus on more in this study tips. Wishing you all the best. If you're preparing for your CISA, you will be okay. It's one of those exams, as long as you take them seriously, you will pass them. All right, cheers. Bye.